So let's get started. I tell you what I really like about this recipe. It's super easy. If all you did was season this whole chicken and put it on your cooking grid with your egg set up at indirect cooking, you're going to get some amazing results. A lot of folks do the spatchcock technique because instead of having this big bird there, you're going to see once we get it spatchcocked and kind of butterflied, if you will, or split in half, it's going to be a little more even cooking area, flatter, so you get more even cooking. A lot of folks say once they've tried this, it's the only way they're going to do it. So there's going to be different ways. I personally like to have my eggs set up with indirect cooking. A lot of folks do what's called a raised direct. I'm not saying one way is right and one way is wrong. I'm just going to show you the preference that works for me. If what you're doing at home is different and you like the results, you're doing something right, keep doing it. And if you haven't tried a thing, don't be afraid. Even if you screw up, I always tell folks we're still eating better than 90% of the world, even on my worst cooking day. So let's be grateful for what we have and have some fun out on the deck. So let's get started. I've got my whole chicken. This is great too because before you know it, it's going to be Thanksgiving time. If you can do a whole chicken, you can do a whole turkey. So I just call this free Thanksgiving Day practice. What we're going to do, we've got the breast side up. We're going to flip that over so we can get to the backbone there. I'm going to use my Big Green Egg shears. You can also use a sharp chef's knife. Sometimes this is great to get through those bones. If I ever need to have a little issue with the skin, I can keep not that I'm having an issue, but I can keep my knife there handy should I need to cut through some of the skin so I'm not ripping. Super simple. There's a good example of shears going right through the bone, and now I'm using my knife to finish that off. Now we're going to go down the other side. Oh, that's my more skin, less bone side. We're not using these to clip coupons, we're using these to cut through bones. So they're not scissors, they're shears. I have some at home and love mine. There we go. And I think it's a little safer to do this than trying to get a sharp knife and risk injury, especially if you're semi-accident prone like myself. Now what you can see here, there's a lot of techniques that say you want to take these little bones out. You can. I don't do that. I keep it pretty simple. One thing I do like to do is get under the skin. You know, if I am just seasoning the outer skin, well, that's great, but I want to get some of this great seasoning on the meat as well. So I'm going to just kind of separate that a little bit. I try not to tear the skin too much, but if you do, and I did, again, it's not to the end of the world. I'm not stressing too much. Peel that back so I can get meat throughout. If you're doing a turkey, you know, some folks I've seen do like a compound butter or a seasoned butter in here. Let me get this off. I definitely don't want any cross-contamination, so I'm going to use this clean hand now. Just get a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on the outside just to help it stick. You can do a dry rub too. It's not critical. If you don't have any oil, don't worry about it. Today I'm going to use the Outdoor Home Sweet and Smoky Rub. I tell you what, when I'm doing poultry, another favorite of mine that I use a lot is the Big Green Egg Savior Pecans. So two really good options either way you go. And I'm just getting a nice coating, because this is not only going to help with flavor, it's going to help give us some really nice color as well. Like I said, I'm going to peel that skin back a little bit so I can get some of this, get that out of my way. Get some of that great seasoning on the meat as well. I'd be curious, for those of you that have tried the spatchcocking technique, do you have a preference? Do you prefer it over just cooking the whole chicken? And do you do raised direct or indirect? Again, no wrong way. I kind of like the indirect way for myself, just because, again, if I get to talking, the phone rings, knock on the front door, I just lose track of time. That convector is kind of a little bit of a safety net for me. If I forget it, man, I've overcooked some chicken and the egg has saved me so many times. I can overcook it and still give you some of the juiciest chicken you've ever had. So I guess I probably should have done the inside first now that I think about it, because I just messed up my coating. That's okay. And I'm going to get inside here. Get some of the seasoning on the breast as well. I'm going to go ahead and glove up one more time before we get to the finished product using the magic of TV. We're saving a little bit of time here trying to get a few things done. Get a little more, just a little more even coating. Get it. Now notice this egg, it's been smoking. I put about 4 chunks of wood in. For poultry, I typically find myself using pecan, maybe a couple chunks of pecan and a chunk or 2 of apple. If you have a different wood you like better, that's okay too. I'm not saying, again, that's the woods that I like. What I do like about this too, even at 350 degrees, a lot of folks will say they want to smoke their turkey, smoke their chicken. I find if you're doing 250 degrees or even 275 with the smoking, yes, you're going to get that smoking flavor imparted in your poultry, whether it's a turkey or a chicken. But for me, sometimes the skin's a little rubbery, and I like a nice crispy skin and a great color. So that's why I'll do the 350 degrees. With the smoking wood in there, poultry is going to take on that smoking flavor a lot easier than a big old honking cut of beef. So you don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. I'd recommend, if you haven't tried it, start off small with the smoking woods. You can always, you know, if you got done with this cook and you thought, man, I could use a little more smoke, well, next time add another chunk or 2. But if you get finished and you're like, oh my gosh, that is way too smoky, you can't undo what you did. So just experiment, practice a little bit. We're going to take a look at our finished product here. Let me get rid of this. This hand's still clean. See what we got here. That egg's locking in still, well, about 360 now. Man, look at that color. Pop that out. I say she's looking pretty good. So great color. Man, this is going to be good. You know, if I'm doing one, I'm probably doing 2. Smoked chicken salad, a whole chicken. There's so many different options you can do with it. I'm going to get this one loaded. We'll get that placed on the grill. I will say too, if you're using this probe thermometer, let me get this loaded here, and I'm going to give you a couple more tips before we close up shop here. On the back side there. Get that meat covered with the skin. She's going to be good to go. Now, I will say, if you're using the probe thermometer, which I love, especially on a hot summer day, I don't want to keep running in and out. With a big cut of meat, I can do 1 in the breast, 1 in the thigh. I'm going to let the wires go over the leg of the convector to protect it. I can monitor the temperature outside, but with the bgeteamgreen egg version, I can also take the transmitter inside, so I can from the comfort of my own home, especially on a Sunday. As soon as we get football back, I'll be excited about that. So I can do that. I can also check the temperature with my bgeteamgreen egg instant read thermometer. If you need any supplies, again, come see us. I appreciate you joining us. Do you have questions? If so, we'd love to hear from you. Again, we'll be monitoring those. So I'd love to hear your questions. Any successes, you want to post a photo of one of your great creations, I'd love to check that out as well. Outdoor Home, a live cooking demo. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.